once again, and welcome to the Talking Shit Podcast. As always, I'm a Film Snob. Got a lot to discuss. Sorry it's been a while since I did a podcast. Been kind of waiting to see how certain things pan out, but we're just gonna go ahead and go forward. Big strike looming possibility over at the Writers Guild. They're trying to come up with a contract that works for everybody, but there's so much conflicting things going on. On the one hand, you have TV writers who basically were the cause of the strike 10 years ago. Otherwise, the writers have only struck 3 times since 1960. So, I mean, this isn't like something they do that often. And unlike actors and some of the other areas when it comes to filmmaking and television work, writers are very unsung and generally get the shit end of the stick. And some of what they're trying to do is get proper residuals from streaming services and other things of that nature. So, I understand where a lot of the issues are and concerns are with the writers, and it'll be interesting to see how this goes. They have basically just under a month to come to some kind of agreement, otherwise there will be a strike. And if there is a strike, it could cause a lot of issues. Most of your live shows will go dark. It will cause a lot of the television seasons next year to have less shows and most likely start late, or later this year, I mean. It'll affect a lot of movies next year. It will possibly affect the merger between AT&T and Warner Brothers, so more on Warner's in just a moment, but that'll be something that I'll be following, and I'll try and get a lot more information on as soon as we know more. In other news, it seems that Carrie Fisher's brother has reported that they are planning on having Carrie Fisher in episode 9, and they're not using any CGI. It'll be completely made up of unused footage. Kind of a possibility of spoilers here. Early on last year, there was rumors that, and this is all rumors of course, Leia's character either gets wounded badly or even possibly killed, bringing in Laura Dern's character to take over a lot of her role. So it's very possible that if her character is either limited in episode 9 or possibly her arc already ends in episode 8 and they're just trying to keep that more of a secret, it's very possible that when they had her, they probably filmed everything they needed for episode 9 if she doesn't have a huge part in that portion of the story arc, or her arc is pretty much finished off in episode 8, or her character isn't as important in episode 9 to where this is not going to be such a big deal. Needless to say, this is something that a lot of fans have been worried and concerned about, and whether or not she should be resurrected through computer to be able to finish off the story the way they wanted to. I'm sure we'll learn more about it as we get closer to the actual film coming out. Speaking of movies in years to come, there was a big rumor that went out earlier this week, posted on Reddit, and this is all rumors, but it supposedly is Warner Brothers' plan for the DCEU for the next couple of years, basically, since next year the only movie we're getting thus far is Aquaman late in the year, but this addresses that, and we'll get into this now. So here's what was written on Reddit, and I'll just read it out to you. The plan for 2019 is to release 4 Batman related films: Gotham City Sirens around Valentine's Day weekend, Nightwing on Memorial Day, which was originally posted for 2020, now they're trying to move it up to early 2019, Batgirl in August, and Batman in November. Batman film will still have Deathstroke, but not as a main villain. Matt Reeves wants to do a larger scale Batman film that will include the Bat family as well as most of Batman's rogues. There will be 2 Batman animated films that are also planned. One will be an adaptation of The Long Halloween. This has been rumored before, so that's not a surprise. Grant Wilson might be the villain for the Nightwing solo film. He is hired by Roland Desmond. Suicide Squad 2 or Dark Universe will most likely be taking Aquaman's previous release date, as I said before. Talked about that, and there's some more about Dark Universe. Dark Universe script is going through final rewrites. Guillermo del Toro's old treatment was used as a base and rewritten to connect to the universe. If Lyman is ready, filming could start as early as summer. Also, Mel Gibson is no longer the front runner to direct Suicide Squad 2. There's a few other candidates out there, but the script is currently being written with a story pitch by Air. Killer Frost will be the new female lead instead of Harley Quinn. They're talking about now, since Harley will be in Gotham City Sirens, replacing her character in Suicide Squad 2 with Killer Frost. I don't know if this is a very good idea. I think this is going to turn out very badly for Warner Brothers. You have your main character in there, and one of the main draws of Suicide Squad was Harley Quinn, and taking her out of Suicide Squad might be a big mistake. There's 4 movies also planned for 2020. Warner Brothers wants to do 2 low budget, smaller scale films and 2 big budget, larger scale films per year in the DCU. DCEU. Jonathan Levine is in talks to direct The Flash. The film will most likely be released in 2020. Matthew Vaughn is most likely going to write the Man of Steel sequel. Again, a lot of those things are not surprises and most likely true, leading a lot of this to probably be true. I don't think WB knows what the fuck they're doing half the time anymore. They have flip-flopped and switched things around to the point where it's like they're starting from square one again here, folks. So they're really milking Suicide Squad's success and the Batman for everything they can. And this isn't even really talking about too many of the other projects other than the Batman projects, other than, it brings up a few, but I have a hard time believing that there isn't going to be a few other ones in there. So it's going to be tough. I just hope Warner Brothers has their ducks in a row on this, because otherwise they fuck this up. You've got a plan that's going out for 2 years. It's going to be hard to bounce back the longer this goes on if things get screwed up in the process. This does not mention Justice League 2 at all, which we all know was originally announced and then pushed back. As I talked about before, obviously the Cyborg movie got fused in with the Justice League movie, so that's no longer obviously on the table. It does not mention the Shazam film at all. There was another rumor going around that Black Adam was possibly going to be the main villain for the Man of Steel sequel. Give me your guys' thoughts down below. Do you believe these rumors? What do you think of the WGA strike? What do you think about the Princess Leia news? Tell me down below. And as always, keep talking shit.